out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took the hell of a beating. Your boys took the hell of a beating.
Welcome. It's 1979-80 revisited. FA Cup third round Saturday. We're not even calling it the weekend. That was the great thing about they're all taking place on the Saturday. Apart from there would be the occasional Friday night or a Sunday game, but it'd be based on geography. You know, if Liverpool and Everton were both drawn to play at home in the third round of the FA Cup, both of them can't play at 3 o'clock on the Saturday. Someone has to shift to Friday night or the Sunday afternoon, and they are the only exceptions to the rule at this point in time. And beyond that, it's the vagaries of January and postponements and teams playing catch-up in the previous round with replays still to be played and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's FA Cup third round Saturday. Paragraph 1, we touched on Leeds United's exit at the hands of Nottingham Forest. Plucky Yeovil not being as plucky as the TV companies thought they were going to be. Harlow falling totally under the radar and knocking out Leicester instead. The camera's nowhere near the place. We've got we had a lot to unwrap in that one. We've got more in this one and extra. Dave, Romark is back in town. We'll save Romark for the second instalment of these games. But Romark, Dave, what more can we say?
New Year's resolution to make life even more miserable for Malcolm Allison, and he kicks off right at the very beginning.
He does. He does indeed. With two-footed over the top of the ball, and he takes him out at the knee. We will come to that in a little bit. But first up, second division Burnley, who've been massively dysfunctional up until recently, at home to first division Stoke City. The kick-off cameras are there. Gerald Sinstad is behind the microphone. Kevin McNally is the referee from South Wirral. An interesting pre-match chat, Dave, in which he's a bit like almost like when a referee is overseeing kind of like the pre-boxing fight chat, keep it clean and all that type of stuff. And he's busy telling Gerald Sinstad that he'll do his best.
I think we'll see a sparkling game of football.
A sparkling game of football, and he will do his best to make this happen. It's not going to quite go that way. It's going to be eventful, action-packed, lots of talking points, but sparkling is not what we would refer to as in terms of the football day.
There's Hall of Fame entries to come from this particular game. I mean, there's some moments of absolute magnificence all the way through this. But I mean, how does the referee think it's going to be a sparkling game of football? Because presumably he's inspected the pitch, and that pitch is never going to produce a sparkling game of football because it's under about 3 foot of mud, basically. I mean, Gerald since that the pitch is absolutely sodden. It's cutting up in the warm up. It's I mean, we talked about the Brighton one in the previous weekend's games. This is just absolutely horrendous. It is the proverbial mud bath. This one.
Oh, it totally is. Not none of that kind of like undersoil heating gibberish that they've got at Highfield Road for a fantastic pitch through the winter, Dave. None of that at Turf Moor. The Burnley side, Alan Stevenson, no Billy O'Rourke, unfortunately, in this one for us, Dave. Derek Scott, Paul Dixon, Marshall Burke, Vince Overson, Billy Rodaway, Phil Kavanagh, Martin Dobson, Billy Hamilton, Kevin Young, Malcolm Smith, with Peter Noble, the substitute for the visitors. The omnipresent Peter Fox. I had the Peter Fox Panini sticker a million times over. He seemed to be in every other packet of Panini 80 sticker packs. Absolutely was. And no one wanted to swap with Peter Fox. What can you swap for a Peter Fox? A Peter Fox. It was Peter Fox was the most known goalkeeper simply because his stickers were everywhere at school. You just stick them to everything. Ray Evans at number 2, Sammy Irvine, Alan Dodd, Denis Smith, Mike Doyle, Adrian Heath, Paul Richardson, Brendan O'Callaghan, Garth Crooks, and Paul Randall with Paul Johnson the substitute. Both teams are struggling in the respective divisions. They're outside of the bottom 3, the teams that are struggling more. Ian Brennan is injured for Burnley. The pitch, as we say, is heavy. Yeah, it's one of these games where it's understandable why the respective teams are in the positions they are in their league, Dave.
Yes, I mean, it's ordinary, the quality, shall we say. I mean, the conditions are terrible. And we have said before that a lot of times teams have risen above dreadful pitch conditions. There's none of that today. Nobody's rising above this. I mean, the short passes are falling short. They're miskicking. The ball sticking in the mud. It's all of that. I mean, there's a early back pass from Dodd that sticks in the mud outside the box, and the ubiquitous Peter Fox has to come rushing out to tidy things up. It is a real trial for the players, to be fair to him. There's one where Sammy Irving is desperately trying to break away for Stoke, and it takes him about half an hour to run 10 yards because the ball just won't move. It refuses to roll.
It won't roll at all. It's truly magnificent. Heath puts one wide of the corner. There's an early yellow card for Denis Smith, and he is utterly incredulous at this brandishing of a yellow card. Denis Smith will go on to more interest in this, but yeah, the Denis Smith, kind of like the should we say the robust nature of his tackling, often went hand in hand with a facial expression that was just bewildered that he wasn't allowed to kind of like just do as he saw fit.
Yeah, the choir boy face, but not so much in terms of his tackling. I mean, it's by Denis Smith standards, this is a nothing foul. He's just tripped him over. I mean, that's as nothing to Denis Smith. He would usually take you off somewhere around the hip, but no, he can't believe that Mr. McNally, who bears a remarkable resemblance to Ernie Wise, I think you'll find, has decided to administer the yellow card to him. He can't believe it.
Okay, I can't believe it. He is incredulous at this yellow card. Misplaced passes galore, Dave. Missed kicks. As you say, the ball getting stuck in the mud here, there, and everywhere. An unpredictable / non-existent bounce of the ball. There's a few wonderful moments where there's a proper kind of like ball lofted into the air and it just lands on the earth with a thud, as if it's been kind of like a brick. Thrown from the terraces of the den. It's an absolute masterpiece, though, Dave.
To be fair, to play any kind of football in that conditions is virtually impossible. But it does make for entertainment. I mean, it is. That's why I suppose third round Saturday was always the great leveller, because there were always pitches like this all over the place, and it does bring everybody down to a similar level. But it also just seems to create this world of the bizarre. I mean, eventually, Irvin, who I was talking about earlier, couldn't get the ball to roll. He does finally pass out to Adrian Heath, who crosses, and O'Callaghan throws himself at it and heads wide. And then Alan Stevenson sort of saves it by turning his back on it. He's basically looking in the direction and saves it accidentally somehow, which was none of the luck that Billy O'Rourke ever got in the game. And the poor devil.
Absolutely. Billy O'Rourke, the very first, honoree in the All Boys Took a Hell of a Beating Hall of Fame. There's one great moment where the camera pans to the crowd. Not something that happens very often in 1979-80 like it does now. Where you're watching a game, there's an important piece of action. Someone's just about to pull the trigger at a shot, or the keeper's got to do something wild. Tell you what, let's just kind of like pan to the crowd, shall we? But yeah, this is kind of like the Granada cameramen are kind of like, tell you what, the football's that bad. We'll just kind of like turn it on the crowd, and those in the crowd look mightily unimpressed with what they've paid to watch.
Yeah, this is not the start of the new decade that they were expecting. This is oh god, it's going to be more of the same misery.
This bright new dawn. To be fair, Kavanagh looks a decent prospect for Burnley, Dave. Anything that Burnley are doing, it's the best of it's coming through him. There is that going on. But what permeates this as well, especially during the first half, is that Gerald Sinstad becomes increasingly anxious about back passes being played to goalkeepers on the pitch and the ball sticking in the mud. You can sense his anxiety rising. Minute by minute, Dave.
Why are these players indulging in this foolishness of passing the ball back to the goal? He got a point, hasn't he? To be fair, I mean, it's not a day for trying to be precise and anything like that with a goalkeeper. But I think he's trying to make his own entertainment there, is Gerald, because there's precious little for him to be commenting on in the first half. Then it starts to get interesting.
It does get interesting. I mean, there's one wondrous moment where Dixon slides across the centre circle, missing the ball completely, and he just goes on and on and on. That in itself, would be a worthy contender for the Hall of Fame. But there's more to come. There is more to come. Occasional danger in the penalty areas, but it's just kind of like hopeful balls lobbed in and scramble clearances. There's one clearance that Doyle makes, and he admonishes Fox, quite emphatically for not coming for the ball. So there's these types of it's all the added incidentals. There isn't a moment of significance football wise in the first half at all.
No. It is all it's all in the tiny details.
It's all the tiny details.
And Mike Doyle, as you say, former Manchester City man, he launches into Fox. I've never seen a thinner fella than Mike Doyle. I mean, he looks like he's never had a square meal in his life, does he?
Yeah, he's not overdone at Christmas anyway.
No, absolutely not. He's been an athlete to the end.
Yeah, he has indeed. Half time, goalless. The kickoff editor has had the absolute work cut out to put something tangible together for viewers on Sunday afternoon there. Just blessed that he's got the best part of 24 hours to try and piece something together. Into the second half, more yellow cards from Mr. McNally. There's one for Adrian Heath. There's a bit of shin kicking going on Young, and Young takes exception, Dave.
The half starts with the pitch being invaded by huge balloons, apparently, which you only see a lot of. Justin advises us to do. And then when Heath has a kick at Young just stands up and snarls at him. It's a glorious moment before Adrian finds himself away into the book, and then Alan Stevenson again manages to save with his back accidentally from.
He does.
Alan. He's turned it into a bit of an art form in this particular game.
Yeah, it's the best chance so far. O'Callaghan at close range, and Stevenson with his accidental save. Randall crosses. It's Heath with a head back across goal, and it's the first chance, Dave. It's the first true chance of the ball actually finding its way into the back of the net.
Yes, there we are, sort of 50-odd minutes into the game, and that's the first real bit of activity around the goal. But now it's going to warm up.
Now it is going to warm up. The needle does increase somewhat, Dave, doesn't it? It's glorious in the way it does. There's a moment where Smith goes through the back of Kavanagh because he's clearly been identified as the one danger of the game so far. Given that he's got a yellow card, he is lucky to stay on the pitch for this one alone. And what I'm impressed by is he does that kind of like limp away from the scene. I'm wounded here, but I'll be brave enough to carry on. What do you mean you'd be brave enough to carry on? You're off, mate. It's a fantastic piece of chicanery from Denis Smith.
Gerald Sinsat says Kavanagh's getting to his feet and rubbing his thigh. He said. Kavanagh's making sure he's still got both legs.
It is very much an entry into Kenny Burns' corner, this particular one. Smith is eventually sent off, though, and there's epic controversy and high comedy to it. To be fair to him, I suggested he'd limped away from that robust encounter with Kavanagh, and it being something of a professional limp, shall we say? But he is actually struggling. There's is he going off? Is he staying on? The substitute's ready. The substitute's not ready. It eventually, as the game cannot take place over this indecision, we've got Smith turns back to stay on the pitch, only for McNally to send him off.
I mean, poor old Denis, he limps back into position like Long John Silver. And then on the touchline we see Johnson get it ready himself, and Smith limps slowly towards the touchline, and then it looks like he's refusing to go. Although later on we discover that he's been told to stay on for another couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he refuses to go. He turns back, and Ernie Wise immediately sends him off for time wasting with the flourish of the gun. Now, for me, that's straight in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
it is straight into the Hall of Fame. It's a magical few moments, and Alan Durban, he adds to it by charging to the touchline, and his anger is palpable. He is incandescent at the situation. But as part of this, I kind of get where McNally was coming from, because initially you've got Smith refusing to go off the pitch for treatment. He goes down wanting treatment, and the referee says, you can get off the pitch for your treatment if you want your treatment. Automatically gets back up. So this is where there's this domino effect takes place from there. So Smith, is he shouldn't be on the pitch at that point in time anyway. He should have already been sent off for the challenge on Kavanagh, even though the original yellow was harsh. And then there's this just kind of like, it was like the hokey cokey. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, oh, he's off.
And ultimately, Jolson said he'd been sent off for ungentlemanly conduct.
Ungentlemanly
conduct. Not a phrase that you ever hear any longer in the game. But
no.
Time wasting, I suppose. Yeah, you can actually see what the referee's all about, but it's the flourish that he produces the red card. It's magnificent from Ernie. It's Hall of Fame stuff.
It is truly magnificent, and the loss of Smith going down to 10 men for Stoke changes the game. A goalless draw written all over it up until this point. Burnley apply the pressure with the extra man. There's a goalmouth scramble, and then there's a penalty to Burnley, Dave.
Yeah, I mean they turn the wick up. They can see this is their chance to get through the next round. Long ball forward, Hamilton bundled over in the area. There's a penalty given. Penalty's not taken until Evans is booked for dissent. I mean, to be fair, it looks a bit harsh because it does look like he got to the ball first. Again, nowadays, that wouldn't be any kind of argument, but back then, if you got to the ball first, that was all right. You were fine. So you can see why Evans is not best pleased, but there he's booked for dissent. And Martin Dobson steps up and hammers the ball in for 1-0.
Indeed, Peter Fox assumes the Subutio penalty goalkeeper pose, automatically making the goal a bigger target. Never quite got the concept of doing that, Dave. I never, I'll crouch down. The target is automatically much bigger. Burnley 1-up. Stoke do attempt to salvage something. Stevenson saves an awkward effort from Heath. Burnley hitting on the break. There's a Hamilton, a bit too hasty with a shot. He connects with another that goes wide. He's enthusiastic but massively off target on this particular day. Is Billy Hamilton, Dave?
Yes, not one of his golden afternoons. Although he did win the penalty, to be fair. So there is that. But and then we come on to Mr. McNally getting involved again with Evans, who clearly hasn't learned his lesson, getting booked again for dissent.
He does indeed. He talks himself into a second yellow, and yeah, it's sent Stoke down to 10 men. It is 9 men. Sorry, yeah, indeed 9 men, which is a rarity at that point in time because it was so hard for one player to get sent off. For two to manage to do it, it's noteworthy. It's absolutely noteworthy. I mean, despite Stoke being down to 9 men, there's an almighty scare for Burnley right to the very end. Garth Crooks manages to miskick the ball right in front of goal. It's a miskick that can rival the Larry Lloyd one from the previous paragraph, Dave.
I think so. I'm sure Garth Crooks would blame the conditions if he was looking at it these days. But it's a work back across the goal by Stoke from a deep cross to the back post, and there's Crooks 6 yards out. Replay written all over it, and he somehow misses it completely, and the game is gone. We should also mention the St John's ambulance men in the dugouts on the far side.
Yeah.
Before that, because the ball comes their way. There's an elderly fella in his St John's ambulance, and he tips it over the roof of the dugout and into the crowd.
It is an excellent save. And we only have to hope that the scouts were taking note at that point in time. Great after-match interview, Alan Durban. He declares that his heart sank when he found out about the identity of the referee. You've got Gerald Sinstad asking him, have you had concerns of this referee in the past, experience of this referee in the past? No, says Alan Durban.
It's a very loaded no. It's
It's
the same sort of,
exceptionally loaded now.
it's the same sort of no as somebody who said, "Have you ever been murdered by Jack the Ripper?" No.
No.
But I do know that he's not a very nice man. He said, I started my team talk by saying, whatever you do, don't say a word to the referee. The lads have got no idea why they get sent off. As far as we can gather, Ray Evans was sent off for heavy sarcasm.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. Heavy sarcasm. The Evans sending off. Denis Smith declares that he never touched the lad for his initial yellow card. Never touched the lad. McNally, although he says he's not allowed to talk on TV about events, he says he's very kind of like he's certain on his decisions being the correct ones, shall we say? Persistent, ungentlemanly conduct that Smith was booked for initially. And to be fair, when he does book him that first yellow card, he does point in many directions. He does point in many directions to cite precedents. And then you've also got on Evans the heavy sarcasm, a remark that was unacceptable, says Mr. McNally, and that he backs his decision on Hamilton being a penalty. Yes, says Mr. McNally. No, says Mr. Durban.
The Alan Durban interview is fantastic. I mean, he's obviously trying not to say things, but he's going to say it anyway. And he's got that fantastic, the deep Welsh. He's doing this post-match interview with all the gravity of Richard Burton quoting Dylan Thomas. It's like the start of Under Milkwood or something that he's going through. And at the end, I mean, he says, if after this interview I find myself unemployed, would you ask your lot in London to see if they can get me a job? And with that, I think he goes into the Hall of Fame.
He does absolutely go into the Hall of Fame. Alan Durban. It's a double header, this one. The peculiar nature of Denis Smith's sending off and Alan Durban's post-match reaction are definites for the Your Boys Took a Hell of Beating Hall of Fame. And more, this is an unprecedented. I mean, we said unprecedented in terms of 4 paragraphs for this FA Cup third round, subsection module 1.16. Unprecedented that there's going to be at least a hat trick of inductees into the Your Boys Took a Hell of Beating Hall of Fame. From Lancashire, off we go to Yorkshire, Dave. The Shay. Manchester City are rolling. Mighty Manchester City are rolling into town. Elton Wellesby, in his preamble towards this, declares that Manchester City are utterly unpredictable. He could have added guaranteed gold, whichever version you get from them. Guaranteed gold. It's no wonder that the cameras are following them around quite so much this season. They are following them a lot, Dave.
It is true.
Manchester City, the recent FA Cup winners, most recently in 1969, but in recent times they've laboured badly in the FA Cup. The last FA Cup tie was a defeat to Shrewsbury Town. Surely things can only get better, Dave.
It's again, where the hell do you start with this? It's an FA Cup tie away at Halifax Town. In where, I mean, we were talking about the pitch at Turf Moor. I mean, the Shay is basically underwater, really. I mean, this is an aquatic game rather than a game of football. And he decides, well, what I'll do is I'll put 3 teenagers in my back 4. On what planet do you think that's a good idea?
It is a remarkable idea. What we've got here is not just 4th Division Halifax Town, but this is 4th Division Halifax Town who had to seek re-election at the end of the 1978-79 season, up against Manchester City, who've broken the transfer record by paying just under £1.5 million for Steve Daly until that record is eclipsed by Andy Gray's move to Wolves. You've got massive amounts of money being spent by Malcolm Allison at Main Road. Halifax Town, lucky to be a league team. It's incredible. The Shay is looking far from resplendent. We've got a decent amount of highlights on this because it's the kick-off match, secondary match that they show as part of the highlights, and it's worth watching because for further paragraphs, when we come to the next paragraph, it's all to do with Tottenham versus Manchester United. There's a full episode of the big match that you can go to as well. There are highlights. The Romark is making his entrance as we speak. There are there's bits of footage that you don't see on the kickoff match, and they're basically trying to mop up the water at the Shay around the side of the pitch, the dog track.
With precious little success.
With precious little success. There's a rather magnificent gaping hole in the roof of one of the stands, Dave. If ever there was an environment, if there was a landscape for a biblical shock, this had to be it.
I mean, you would arrive on your team coach, file into the stadium, and you would think, "Oh my God, no!" And this is the day where you just make sure you get all of your hoary old veterans onto the pitch who know what all this is about, and are going to just kick lumps out of the opposition side. Not going to worry about playing football. And if we have to get a 0-0 and go back to Main Road, fair enough, we'll do that. But no, he plays all these kids all over the place. It's somebody is playing with Malcolm Allison's mind, and we know who it is.
We know exactly who it is. Paul Hendry hooks wide, the first chance that we see. Long throw from Kennedy. There's a mad scramble in the Halifax penalty area. No place for faint hearts, Dave. This in itself is a glorious passage of play.
It's fantastic. And again, there's nobody from the City defence anywhere near Hendry when he shoots wide, and then there's a corner from Kennedy, and Corrigan is backpedaling to tip it onto the post to get it away. Meanwhile, all of the fans behind the goal are about 50 yards away because of the speedway track, and there's a patch of ground behind the goal, and there's just all these random kids running around having a nice time. It's like 1970s. Then they're walking around behind the goal. And these glorious examples of 1970s clobber, and there's a football match going on just over the other side of the line.
It is if they're trying to cut through to get to the park over the other side of the ground or something like that. Total cabbage patch for a pitch. Players covered in mud. You do get to a point where it's got to be difficult for Martin Tyler, who's the commentator for YTV on this occasion, to identify who the players are. I'm looking at them and thinking you're not getting clean until you get home there because there's probably no running hot water for the showers. This is everything that you want it to be, Dave.
This is proper FA Cup third round. Yeah, I mean, it's magnificent. A pitch that's submerged underwater like a rice field. I mean, you've got the first division team that clearly is, all over the shop. It's in a bizarre stadium, much as I love, these stadiums. Yeah, you'd never get away with this kind of thing.
No.
Nowadays. But it looks fantastic. I mean, it's got as a period piece, this is absolutely everything you need to know about 1970s, 1980s FA Cup football. Magnificent.
It is a season in which the European Cup final will take place at Real Madrid's Bernabeu. This iconic, futuristic, amazing piece of engineering, and then here we are, just a few short months earlier at the Shay. It's Corrigan tips one onto the post. Killing a saves from Shinton. From a power cross, excellent handling of a greasy ball, says Martin Tyler. There's racism directed towards Dave Bennett. That's undeniable. It's very, very loud. Kilner is being kept busy. Makes a save from Michael Robinson. But both goalkeepers are being kept busy at this point in time, Dave. Corrigan makes a fine save from Evans. And there ends the first half. There's no shortage of opportunity, but every time the ball goes anywhere near either goal, it's glorious chaos.
You can understand they can't keep their feet particularly well and all of that. But again, there's actually been some decent football, really. There's a really good volley from Michael Robinson that Kilner saves, same from Shinton. Joe Corrigan's made a couple of good saves. So it's a decent game in terms of, excitement and energy and all of that. But it is, as you said in the last bit, it's the great leveller. That pitch is obviously making life difficult for Manchester City to try and get the ball down and play, but it's just so disjointed. And with Halifax seizing on the Romark factor, there can be only one winner in the second half.
They can. It has to be Manchester City on my notes. Man City not lacking effort, Halifax not without ambition. I think that's into the second half. Penalty box scrambles galore yet again. Hendry pokes one wide. And as the game rumbles on, the inevitable seems probable. And sure enough, 15 minutes from time, it's Hendry. Fine goal. Scuffed cross from Stafford. Layoff by Smith. 1-0 Halifax. And you just know there and then there's going to be no way back into this for Manchester City.
Absolutely not. I mean, it is a classic first goal wins it kind of game, really. I mean, with the conditions. And fair play to Hendry. I mean, he's kept going. He had one saved. As you say, at the start of the second half, he gets a chance at the back post. He shoots, the ball rebounds back to him. He falls over, gets up, shoots again, misses. But he keeps on going, and ultimately he gets his moment. He crashes a low shot sort of through Joe Corrigan from close range and in. And I think it's Steve Daly, there's a shot from distance.
Yeah, just whistles wide.
Basically, yeah. That's all that Manchester City managed to muster, and there they are out of the cup, and we see the players running off and going down the tunnel afterwards, and the camera then pans to the top of the stand with half of the roof missing.
Half the roof missing, yeah.
And then the Shay becomes the first inanimate object to go into the Hall of Fame.
It does indeed. Clearly, high winds have made an impact at the Shay. None of this patching up there. We'll just leave it as it is. We'll pin down what's moving, and that will do us. But hopefully, this win will give them a few coffers, Dave, to maybe get some corrugated steel sorted, some panelling. But kids on the pitch at the end, Dave. Every stereotype of the FA Cup third round of the era has been ticked.
It's glorious.
It's a glorious thing. It's a glorious thing. Halifax have been helped by Romark directly in this, Dave. The hypnotist, and this is taken from the Daily Mirror, or possibly the Sunday Mirror the following day. The hypnotist who claims to have put the evil eye on Malcolm Allison. The hypnotist furious when Allison failed to keep an appointment with him at Crystal Palace 5 years ago. Put the fluence on Halifax in midweek. The fluence, Dave. Halifax manager George Kirby said, he was the ace I played. We had City in a trance. Romark said, I just made the players believe they were better than City. This now is the third occasion that Romark has influenced the team to defeat a Malcolm Allison side, Dave. The man, Romark, the legend, he is a phenomenon.
It's lucky he doesn't bear a grudge, isn't it? I mean, 5 years ago, Malcolm Allison didn't turn up for one meeting, and he's decided to ruin his entire life.
He has taken it upon himself to ruin his entire life. It's a truly, truly spectacular thing, unreal, and long may it continue. Romark, we love you. We really, really do. Oh, Romark, we love you. Dave, that has been glorious. Paragraph 2 of subsection module 1.16, 1979-80 revisited the FA Cup third round, and we've still got 2 more paragraphs to go.
We can only hope that at some point Mr. McNally ends up refereeing a Manchester City game, because that could be fun.
Yeah, with the Romark angle, Mr. McNally, or who was our Welsh manager for the Everton City game?
Gwyn.
Oh, Gwyn. I mean, he's already done a City game. Oh, Gwyn from Anglesey. Absolutely love him. Just larger than life characters everywhere, Dave. A joy.
It is. I mean, that is. I know it's such a boring thing to say about modern day football, that there aren't personalities, but there aren't in the same way that there were then. I mean, everything is more professional and it's more athletic, and it's, you can talk about so many improvements in the game. There's no question about that. But the room that there was for idiosyncrasy and strangeness and the bizarre, I don't know. In 40 odd years' time, will there be a couple of idiots like us sitting down to do a podcast series about the 2023-24 season? I don't think they'll be having as much fun as we are.
No, because there's just not the incidentals. Where's the car boot sales? Where are the hypnotists, Dave? They've just vanished from the game, and it's a poorer place for it. I'll throw in one back page headline before we head off, as I try and split these across all four paragraphs. Dave Langham, the Derby County fullback, Irish international, has been transfer listed, Dave. He reportedly deliberately missed the Derby County team coach for the FA Cup trip to Bristol City. Bruce Rioch gets himself caught up in the row. He is also sent home by Colin Addison. Apparently, he tried for the simple gesture of trying to play the intermediary between the offending player and the incensed manager, Dave. Troubled days at Derby County.
Yeah, not going well at the baseball ground, is it? I mean, how many players was it that they'd used? About 42 or something ridiculous. By this stage of the season.
And it's only getting more, Dave, because they've just signed Alan Bailey for £400,000 from Cambridge United after 81 goals in 170 appearances at Cambridge. Bailey's aim is survival, firstly, and then onwards to Europe. Bright days ahead for Derby County and Alan Bailey.
All the very best of them. Alan Biden, wasn't he one of those who sported a Rod Stewart haircut?
Yes, he did. He tips up at Everton eventually, and there was much local amusement, which with our glass house and all the perms going on, but they were the height of fashion at the time, and here comes Alan Bailey with his Rod Stewart cut. I think he's got plenty of flares in his suitcase. Definitely, this lad. At a point in time when it's all kind of like it's all sambas and drainpipe jeans and Sergio Tacchini and whatever on the terraces. Here comes Alan Bailey, like a refugee from 1973.
Grim times ahead for Derby County.
Grim times ahead for Derby County. Dave, thank you so much. Looking forward massively to paragraph 3. Do join us again next time. That all I've got left to say there. Spread the word. 1979-80 revisited as part of the Your Boys Took Hell of a Beat in lexicon. Subscribe. Spread the word. Thank you and goodbye.